Hi Shankar.
Hi, sir.
What happened? Why are you dull?
So I'm preparing SSC exam, sir. It is last year syllabus, so much of syllabus is there. I'm getting very tension, sir.
I am here. You don't fear because in our Gauri Smart channel for SSC exam, each and every topic will be covered. Mathematics, science, social, GK. Each and every topic will be covered, and also grand test also will be covered. So you don't get tension. Understand?
Really, sir?
Yes.
Oh, hooray! Thank you,
Okay.
sir. Thank
All
you.
the
Thank
best
you.
for your exam.
So all of you like this Gauri Smart channel and subscribe this Gauri Smart channel. Thank you.
Today we are going to discuss about cell, the structural and functional unit of life. You know children, all the organisms, whether it is plant or animal, all animals are and all plants are made up of cells. You should know this statement first. So, cell is a tiny part in plants and animals. Every plant and animal is made up of a cell, and this cell is firstly discovered by Robert Hooke. In 1665. The word cell is coming from the Latin word cellula. This is a Latin word. The word cell is coming from the Latin word cellula, which means tiny compartments. Tiny compartments or small chambers. So, here cell is coming from the word cellula, which is a Latin word, which means tiny compartments or small chambers. And for the first time, the cells are discovered by Robert Hooke in 1665. And you know, some of the organelles or some of the organisms made up of only a single cell, they are called as unicellular organisms. Unicellular organisms. Some organisms made up of more than 2 cells, maybe there are 10 cells or 100 cells or lakhs of cells or crores of cells, more than 2 cells. If the organism made up of more than 2 cells, that is called as multicellular organism. Multicellular organism. Or multicellular organisms. Here in the unicellular organisms, the organism only composed of a single cell. For example, amoeba. Amoeba, the entire body and entire organism made up of only a single cell. That type of organisms are called unicellular organisms. The best example for the unicellular organisms is amoeba. Along with the amoeba, many types of organisms are there belongs to unicellular organisms like Paramecium, Chlamydomonas, Euglena, like that. The best example for that is amoeba. And multicellular organisms, which means the entire body is made up of more than 2 cells. As I am earlier said that 2 cells or 10 cells or 100 cells or 1000 cells or lakhs of cells. The entire body is made up of more than 2 cells. For example, matured plants and animals, mango tree or apple tree or banana tree, or animals like human beings and lions and tigers. All these are best example for multicellular organisms. Okay. Next, let us discuss about the types of cells. The types of cells on the basis of the nucleus present in the cell. On the basis of the presence of the nucleus in the cell, cells are of 2 types. First one is prokaryotic cell and eukaryotic cells. These two are classified on the basis of presence of the nucleus in the cell. Presence of nucleus. You know, in all type of cells, nucleus is there. For example, if it is a cell, in the nucleus there is important organelle that is called nucleus. Nucleus. If any type of cell containing the nucleus, that is called as eukaryotic cell, which means the cell is containing membrane bound organelles and the nucleus, well defined nucleus. If there is no nucleus in the cell, that is called as prokaryotic cell. Prokaryotic cells. Here we are classifying the cells on the basis of presence of the nucleus. If the nucleus present in the cell, that is called as eukaryotic cell. If there is no nucleus in the cell, that is called as prokaryotic cell. Best example for the prokaryotic cell is bacteria. Bacteria. In bacteria cells, there is no nucleus. If it is a cell, there is no nucleus in the bacteria cell, and there is no membrane bound structures or membrane bound organelles within it. Okay, this is second point. We are only going to discuss only single point and important point, that is presence of nucleus. If the nucleus present in the cell, that is called as eukaryotic cell. Examples, blood cells, which mean white blood cells. White blood cells. And prokaryotic cell, best example is bacteria. In bacteria cells, there is no nucleus in the cell. In blood cells and nerve cells and muscle cells, everything, and what I said, the examples, they have a nucleus in the cell. So here we discussed about who discovered the cell. Robert Hooke in 1665, and the cell is coming from the Latin word cellula, which means tiny compartment or small chambers, and unicellular organisms and multicellular organisms. So if the organism made up of a single cell, that is called as unicellular organisms. Best example is amoeba. And multicellular organisms, best example is plants and animals, which mean the organism made up of more than two cells, right. And on the presence of the nucleus, the cells are classified in two types, prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells. In the prokaryotic cell, there is no nucleus in the cell, and in the eukaryotic cell, there is a nucleus within the cell. That is the classification of the cells on the basis of nucleus. Okay. Here in the lesson, we have to discuss about cell theory. Cell theory is nothing but the fundamental principle of the cells. The fundamental principle of the cells. The cell theory is proposed by Schleiden and Schwann. Schleiden and Schwann. Cell theory is proposed by Schleiden and Schwann. In his theory, they said that cell is the basic structural and functional unit of the life, and all the animals, all the plants should made up of cell only, which means all the organisms are made up of cells. This is the basic unit of the functional and structural unit of the life, which means all the cells are made up of all the organisms are made up of cell, and the structure, entire structure of the organism is only coming from due to the presence of the cell only. So the structure and the function is only because of cells in the organisms. This is the main point of the cell theory. The cell theory is proposed by Schleiden and Schwann. After few years, Virchow, scientist name is Virchow, he expanded the cell theory again. He expanded the cell theory. Cell theory. What is his expansion? He said that all the cells are coming from pre-existing cells. For example, if it is a cell, if it is this X, this cell is coming from pre-existing cells. If new cells are coming from the X, if it is providing 2 eggs again, 2 cells again, then these all cells are coming from pre-existing cells. These cells are coming from pre-existing cell. This cell is coming from pre-existing cells. So which means all the cells are coming from pre-existing cells. If there is no cell in the previous, there is no cells coming from next generation. So here in this view of the Virchow or Virchow, the all new cells are coming from pre-existing cells, the Walder cells. This is the expansion of the cell theory. So here the cell theory is proposed by Sladen and Swan. As per their view, all the organisms are made up of the cells, and cell is the basic unit of life and structural and functional unit of the life. And Virchow expanded the cell theory with his point. The point is all the new cells are coming from pre-existing cells, which means previous cells. New cells are coming from pre-cells. These the main points belongs to cell theory. Let us discuss what is the largest cell in the world, what is the smallest cell in the world. The largest cell in the world is the vava of ostrich. Ostrich is a bird, the largest bird, the biggest bird. The egg of the ostrich or vava of the ostrich is the largest cell in the world, largest cell. And smallest cell is PPLO. PPLO. The smallest cell is PPLO, and the largest cell is the vava of the ostrich or egg of the ostrich. This is the largest cell. While we are talking about the human beings, the largest cell is vava. Vavas are only belongs to female. And smallest cell is red blood cell. And the largest cell is nerve cell. Largest cell is nerve cell. So here we discussed about 5 things. First one is the largest cell in the world is egg of the ostrich. The smallest cell in the world is PPLO. And when we discuss about human beings, the largest cell in the human being is vava of a female. The smallest cell, red blood cell. The largest mean, sorry, not largest, longest, which mean lengthy cell is nerve cell. So these are important points about the size of the cells. You know, some cells are round, some cells are spherical, some cells are cylindrical, some cells are long and branched. Let us discuss about them. Some cells are round, some cells are spherical, some cells are spindle shaped, some cells are long and branched. Let us discuss examples for that. Some cells are round in the structure, round in the shape. Examples are blood cells, red blood cells or white blood cells, whatever it may be, blood cells. And spherical, some cells are spherical like this. Some blood cells are in spherical shape. So for round and spherical shape we can give examples blood cells, and spindle shaped, best examples for the spindle shape is muscle cells. Muscle cells, cells in the muscles are best examples for spindle shaped. And long and branched example is nerve cell. Nerve cell, again the shape of the cell is varies from animal to animal, plant to plant. Some are in round shape, some are in spherical shape. For the round and spherical shape we can give examples blood cells, and spindle shaped, best example is muscle cell, and long and branched nerve cells, they are very long in the structure, they appears like this, so they are very long and branched. So best example for the long and branched cells, nerve cells. Let us discuss the internal parts of the cell and their functions. Internal parts of the cells and their functions. Internal parts of the cells are known as organelles, cell organelles. Internal parts of the cells are called as organelles. Organelles. Let us discuss one by one. Cell wall, cell membrane, vacuole and nucleus, mitochondria, and plastids, ribosomes, and lysosomes, and ER, endoplasmic reticulum. Endoplasmic reticulum. And so these are important parts in the cell: cell wall, cell membrane, vacuole, nucleus, mitochondria, plastids, ribosomes, lysosomes, endoplasmic reticulum. This is also called as ER. Let us discuss about cell wall. Cell wall is the outermost layer in plant cells. This is only present in plant cells, not in animal cells. You know, cells are classified into two types. If the cell is present in animal, that is called as animal cell. If the cells are present in plants, they are called as plant cells. Okay, so plant cells and animal cells, these are two types. Here, cell walls is only present in plant cells, not in animal cells. Due to the presence of the cell wall, this may be the general structure of the plant cell. This is a general structure of the animal cell. So always we are showing the animal cell in circular shape. Whereas if you are writing or telling about plant cells, we have to draw the structure of the plant cell like this, hexagonal shape, right? So here it is a plant cell. In the plant cell, the outermost membrane is called as cell wall. It is made up of cellulose and hemicellulose. Cellulose and hemicellulose. This is the outermost membrane, and this is non-living membrane. This is non-living membrane which provide the security to the internal parts of the cell, which gives strength to the internal parts of the cell. And this is the outermost membrane of the plant cell only. Here we discussed two things about the outer membrane of the plant cell. This is called as cell wall, which is made up of cellulose and hemicellulose. This is non-living cellular organelle, which provides strength and the security to the internal parts of the cell. And the cell membrane. This is the outermost membrane of the animal cell and secondary outermost membrane of the plant cell. In the animal cell, this is the outermost membrane, primary membrane. In plant cells, cell membrane is the secondary outermost membrane.
If you like this video, you just like and subscribe the channel and share this video.